Hi, I'm excited to make an interview with Natalia Carminati, artist from Argentina that's based in Barcelona. And I have several questions. So how did you decide to come to Belgrade?
I was very happily invited by the BEA residency program that provides a grant for accommodation and allows you to develop a project, a short-term project. In my case, is a 2 weeks project. Right now I'm working on a performance that is called Alpa Mulai, and this performance works on how science has taken over life and has taken over nature, and so it gives voice to nature in this, battle for coexistence with science. So I'm working on this performance with Juan Cruz. He's a martial artist, and the residency was founded by a visual artist, you, and a martial artist, Boschko. And so this dialogue that you suggest is a dialogue that we want to inspire ourselves with. And so it integrates, both languages, and also it integrates symbolism from different traditions, different times, different cultures. And it's a kind of an experimental performative ritual that we are going to show this Friday at Ostawinska Gallery. So you're all welcome to be there with us at 7 p.m. And otherwise, you can follow us live stream on your Instagram account for the residency, that is at Belgrade.
It's Belgrade Artist in Residency, yes.
So it could be both ways. You can be a virtual viewer,
and
or
everything
you can be
will be documented, so that will be also. I'm thinking it's interesting how our background is influencing us. So do you think your cultural background is influencing your art?
Yeah, I think that it totally influences my art. I think it's the lenses you use to connect to reality and to your environment. And so, for example, when you come here to a residency and relate to artists from different parts of the world and to people who use other lenses to see reality, that clash of views and perspectives of life and the priorities you have and how you see your life, I think that is super inspiring to me. It's like the place where I get more inspired and start developing my ideas and projects.
Yeah, that's including, that was my next question, what is inspiring you? But generally, what are the other themes that are inspiring your art?
To me, reading. I'm always reading. I always have a tendency to read several books at the same time. But right now, for example, because I was traveling, I had a tiny carry-on. I brought the Popol Vuh, that is the sacred book of the Mayan Quiché culture. So it's the book that describes creation from their point of view and their way to see the human being. So it's a book of the community, a book of advice. It's anonymous. So it was written by several different people. It's so fascinating. And so it is in books that I find either a concept or an idea or something. I want to go deeper into it, and I start, researching and going into other books. And so that's where all my processes start. In the books, and from there I go into formalizing that into I'm a multimedia artist. So it could be a performance here, or it could be an installation, it could be painting, or it's different medium that, depending on the project, it's the demands of the project.
Yeah. And what do you think? So what would be your approach for developing your art career? I mean, it's what kind of opportunities you're looking for? Because I notice in every country there is different approaches, and I think that can be really good and helpful for other artists to hear.
Yeah. In my experience in Barcelona for the past 5 years, I've been working in factories of creation. So I've been working 3 years in Fabricoats, developing 3 different projects. Then I worked for 2 years in Piramidon. This is an art center that it's privately owned, the other is public. And now I'll start working at La Escosesa, where we met. So I was selected to have a studio there. And so these institutions provide opportunities in several different ways because they promote, your work by suggesting open day studios or by offering open calls that can allow you to exhibit later, or also, just the everyday life there. I met you.
Yeah.
You are all the time relating yourself and your creative process to other creative processes, and that sharing always, allows things to arise. Opportunities arise from that sharing.
Yes.
So I think in my case, it's very vital in my practice to share my processes with other artists or curators or, creative people who are seeing your projects from different points of view.
Yeah. Yes. And what do you think? What are the challenges that are existing in an art world that you would like to address? I mean, we're always, of course, we always share some of these things everywhere around the world, economic things and
economic things. I think is the challenge now. To be out of that. I don't know the word in English for precarious system. When you have little money to develop something. So the little money invested in culture, conditions your practice, because it puts a limit to either the space you're offered or the budget you have for developing the project or whichever circumstance, maybe time, because you need time also sometimes, and sometimes it's a battle against time because you need your time to investigate, you need your time to work on the art, and you need your time for the mounting and to see what happens in the space. So I think that the challenge is a little bit to not stick to that, to be free in your mind rather than tied to these conditions that right now the system is putting to us. And of course, in that sense, make a living out of your artwork, because it's really difficult to sell your art, and you have different options. Sometimes you have a gallery that shows your work online, because also galleries find it difficult to survive. So it's it's a teamwork.
And what do you think? What is the artist's role in society in that way?
I think our role is vital. Going back to the performance we are working, I think science is taking over life, and they are doing a pretty good job in that, and machines are replacing us and doing a better job than we would do in many areas of life. But I think that when it comes to art, that is us, it's so human. Creation is so human that I think that it is vital that we keep on, composing a piece of music, writing a book, creating a painting or a performance, or those things keep us alive too. I think is kind of part of the human essence.
Yeah, and that brings us to the last question. What is your biggest motivation in life?
I think of it to be happy. I cannot think of any other there are many motivations, but the motivation, I think it's to be happy. So that makes me, make the most and give the most of myself in every situation, and also expect the most, because you give the most, you expect the most. And so
and you want to connect it to creation. And
of course, because you allow yourself to experience different emotions, to experience different circumstances, to put yourself, in different situations you wouldn't, imagine, and so that brings you to yourself in different perspectives. So you're allowed to learn from the others, and so it's the blood running in your body, I think. You know? Like, I'm like that in my professional life and in my personal life, of course, you know. So I expect, that's my goal.
So nice. Well, maybe you can just say for the end, how did you like your time in Belgrade and the residency? And we're so happy to have you here. Like, you're the first artist, like, with this new program that we're starting, like inviting artists and providing the accommodation as a grant, and like our like being helpful to do this project. So like maybe you can just say a few words, like how did you like it here?
Yeah, I feel super honored to be like invited here to. I think Belgrade is a very interesting city. It brings you to different times all the time while you're walking around, just walking around. So it's so inspiring in that sense. All the different historical background that each place has. So I think that is very inspiring. And regarding the residency, I love, you know, to share with you, with the other artists, all the programs that you've been suggesting so far. So that allows you to understand different views of the art scene, because we've had the opportunity of seeing so many different exhibitions. Like, you know, you have an open understanding of what is going on in Belgrade. And also, you know, we could share with other artists things that they are doing, and so I think that is very inspiring as well. And so I'm very thankful.
Thank you so much for the interview, and I hope we collaborate in future.
Oh, me too. In Barcelona, here, or wherever.
Yes.